Hello again. It's another day and another YouTube video from Chris Farian. Um, yeah, last video we talked about um, what I was going to talk about on this channel, and I said I was going to talk about sobriety, and I am. That's a main thing. I am also going to talk about what you do after you're sober, right? So the health aspect, right? Eating right, sleeping right, exercising, not working too hard, taking time off, dealing with friends and family. Yeah, like all of those things are very important when we sober up. They're extremely important for us. Like I'll just give you an example with the food thing. And of course we'll go into more detail as the community tells me what they need and what they want. The food thing, I mean, when I was drinking, especially the last 10 years when I drank every day, I was so hungover, I was so sick in the morning that I almost never had breakfast. Like that'd be all, like, never, probably in 10 years, never, because I was so hungover. I mean, I'd be so hungover, I'd be just shaking, right? I'd have those DTs going. And as a carpenter, I couldn't even hold my nail gun. I'd be, right? And sometimes I would have to have a couple of beer just to get the shakes going. And other times I would just live with it for a few hours until it went away, right? Many times I remember being so hungover in the mornings that I would swear that I was never going to drink again. I'm like, God, man, I cannot do this again. Please help me stop this. I'm never drinking again. I would swear up and down, up and down. And lunch, maybe I'd have a half a sandwich or something because I could keep that down. And then by 3:30, 4 o'clock, the day's over for work. Work would end at 4:30, and I was already raring to get another case of beer. And how fast that would change. From being so hungover, I could barely hold my nail gun, and wanting to vomit constantly, and swearing that I was never going to drink again, promising myself I was never going to drink again, to then be buying a case of beer by the end of the day of work. Like, that's how messed up I was from alcohol. It was so crazy that I would get that messed up. And I would do that day after day after day. I mean, I didn't promise myself I wouldn't drink day after day after day. The hangovers would be there for sure. But I bet you I promised myself once a month or twice a month that I would quit because I was so hungover. Right? There's like, how crazy that is, right? Like, oh my God, I just think about it now. And so the eating thing, I mean, how do you eat in the morning? How do you have breakfast if you're that hungover every frickin' day? Like, it's crazy. And then lunch too, like I said, half a sandwich or a sandwich if you're lucky, because I was probably still hungover and feeling just awful. In the evening, I'd already have a case of beer after work, so I'd already had 2 or 3 before I even got home. The odd time I would cook maybe some pork chops and potatoes and stuff, but most of the time it was frozen pizza and instant noodles. I pretty much lived on that crap. Maybe stop at McDonald's. Yay, McDonald's. Like, Like, no wonder I felt so horrible, you know? Like, I had no energy. I felt so horrible because I was eating garbage. I was living on alcohol and garbage, you know? And that goes, and then the back pain and the shoulder pain and all the pain I was in, and I could barely move. And like, no wonder. It's no wonder I wasn't looking after myself at all, right? I was so, alcohol was my only option. It was all I thought about. It was the most important thing in my life, you know? And then you add on the fact I smoked cigarettes and smoked weed. And on the weekends, I would do cocaine and other such foolish things. I mean, like, no wonder my life was horrible. No wonder I felt like garbage. No wonder I was depressed and lonely and hurting. In the end, no wonder I was suicidal. Like, it's no wonder just looking back. But when I was in it, I didn't see it. I didn't see that it was a problem. I just thought that was life. I've been doing it so long that was life. So that's just what it was. If you're looking in the background, this is my old motorhome. I had to convert it to a YouTube space, just so that I had a nice quiet place to come and away from the wife and away from the dogs, and just so I can just be here and be with you guys on this video. So that's what you see in the background. The motorhome's from the 90s, so it's nothing spectacular, but it got me around British Columbia. I toured around for me and the wife for 10 months, and we hit a whole bunch of different places on the mainland and on the island, and had a blast. And it was quite the experience. So again, I would have never done that had I been drinking. There's no freaking way I would have been able to do that. So just another perk that I got to do now that I've sobered up. But back to what I was originally talking about is the health and the eating, or lack of eating. When I went to the treatment center, trying to get that word out, the treatment center, they fed us so well. Like, it was so insane how much food they would give us, like salads and fruit and the top-notch meals, and just stuff you, right? And I hadn't eaten that well in, like I said, like probably over a decade. I was so into the alcohol and drugs that the food never mattered, right? But in there I didn't have anything else, so I ate like a king. Like, it was great. And they did that because everyone that comes in there is malnourished. Like, all of us. It doesn't matter who you think you are. If you're an addict with alcohol or drugs, chances are you're not looking after yourself and you're not eating very well, right? Like that's pretty much a given. And so they made an emphasis on that, and they made you eat, right? They watched you eat, and they made sure that you ate all your food. And if you didn't, they would wonder why. Are you sick? Whatever. If you're not sick, then get back there and finish that plate. Like, you need those nutrients, right? You need that. And so that got me going in a good direction. And then when I left, like I was saying in the previous video, is I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anyone helping me out. So I kind of did eat some instant noodles and stuff, but I did buy some hamburger meat and some pork chops and some minute steaks and had some salad, and I made a really good effort to get that going, right? And then when I was working and I started getting more money, then I started eating better. And that helped a lot with my energy level and keeping me from getting depressed about having to change my life, having to give up my friends, having to not go to my favorite thing in the world, which was alcohol. Right? I had to give that up. It's like a divorce. It sounds funny, but it's like a divorce. Right? I was so in love with alcohol that's all that mattered. And then when I quit, then I don't have that. It's, so then you get depressed. I remember being super depressed quite often in the first year. And even in the second year, because in the second year I got my license back and I could travel. So little old me, because I was out in the country and I didn't really have very many friends in the town I was in, which is a blessing and a curse, right? Just, the only people I knew there were blatantly drunken alcoholics. So I had to stay away from them. So what I ended up doing is I ended up going back to my old friends back in Selkirk, Manitoba, and most of them were a mess, A lot of them had wives and kids and families, but they were still, drinking 1 or 2 nights a week to excess, and then on the weekends getting blackout drunk, and that was just pretty normal, for them. And I forced myself to hang around with them for probably the second year of sobriety. And then I noticed that, I said to myself, what are you doing here? These people this is what you tried to get away from. This is what you wanted to get away from. You wanted to stop this. And here you are, you're back, hanging around with these people that, they're good people. I love them. I love them because I grew up with them. They were my best friends in high school and junior high, and I love those people, but they were a mess. Right? And I was trying to get out of that mess. And here I am putting myself back in that mess. And so I had to stop going there. Right? And they didn't want me to go there either. This is something, and I said this at an AA meeting quite a few years ago in Selkirk to 2 guys that were new. And they said, all our friends are very happy that we're getting sober, and they're wishing us all the best, but they're not really coming around. They're not really phoning us to go out. And I said to them flat out, I said, they don't want you around. If you had the same kind of friends I had, and they were the same alcoholic that I was or close, they don't want some sober guy hanging around with them that's going to AA meetings and trying to quit drinking. Or quitting drinking. They don't want that, because that shows them they have a problem. And they don't want to admit they have a problem. Right? Most people do not want to admit that. And that's just the sad part of it. So, I had to stop going there. I had to stop hanging around with them. I ended up going back to Selkirk for other reasons, like for friends that didn't drink all the time. I did have a couple that quit on their own. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. They quit on their own, and they didn't drink. They might have smoked weed, but they didn't drink, And I would go visit them once in a while, just because really I had no one else to visit. And yeah, so I'd have to go back, but I'd always go to AA meetings when I was there, right? I'd make the time to go to the meeting because I knew I needed it, right? I'm not one of the people that could just quit on my own. That wasn't me, That was a few of my buddies, but it's like a very small few, right? Most of my old buddies that were hardcore alcoholics like me, they're dead. Most of them are dead from suicide or their livers or pancreas just shutting down from the alcohol. And usually prescription drugs. Add that on top, right? Um, I had a good friend of mine that just, I guess he was drinking and smoking meth, and he he stood up, looked at his wife and kids and the other guys partying in his apartment, and he walked to the balcony and jumped off 14 stories. Didn't say a word. Didn't say a word. Just, that was it. Gone. You know? Um, Another friend of mine got tasered to death by the RCMP in Edmonton, right? Because he was drunk and high and would not stop whatever they were telling him to stop doing, and they tasered him to death and cooked him from the inside out. And like, so again, I'm glad I quit, because I wasn't as crazy as him, I don't think, but maybe I was, right? I was suicidal at the end, so who knows what I would have ended up doing. And so it goes back again, like all of this goes back to not loving yourself. Said it before, say it again, right? Not thinking you're worthy, getting yourself in over your head with drugs and alcohol and crazy people and just crazy things going on. So again, once you stop drinking and you stop drugging and you start to see life in a better term, that's when you start to eat better, right? Eating better keeps your blood sugar level, and you don't make erratic decisions. As many erratic decisions. I still make them, but not as many. You drink water. Never, who would drink water, But when you can drink beer, like, why would you drink water? But now you drink water, you drink water, you drink some coffee and tea, might have a few pop. In the very beginning, quitting drinking, I drank a lot of coffee, right? Let's not beat around the bush there. I drank a ton of coffee, way too much coffee. That was my replacement for the alcohol, right? And then slowly I weaned off that. I cut myself back. I quit drinking coffee at 2:00 in the afternoon now, most days. If I know I'm going to be up late, I might keep going till 4, But most days I shut her down at 2 and then I get a good night's sleep. Again, that's something else that when you drink all the time, you don't do, right? You don't sleep well. Even 2 drinks, you don't really get into REM sleep. And deep sleep is when you heal, right? Your body heals and your mind heals. So if you're always drinking, if you're always drunk when you go to bed, or passing out is what I used to do, basically leave work, drink a 15-pack of beer and pass out, and then get up the next day and do it all again. That was the last 10 years of my life. On the weekdays, and then on the weekends it would be way more liquor, like way more. But I'd at least drink a 15 a night, right? Like that was just my thing. And maybe a couple during the day. So, maybe 18, 20 beer in a day. That was pretty normal for me. But yeah, the sleep thing, you don't even notice, right? Again, it's just like the food, it's just like the water. When you're in the problem and you're a raging alcoholic addict, and that's all that matters to you, that's what you do everything in your power to get is drugs and alcohol, you don't notice that you're not sleeping properly. You don't notice that you're not eating properly. Like, my health was so bad when I finally quit drinking that if you look here, you can see this eye droops. It was really drooped before. It was almost like I had a stroke, right? My whole right side of my body was not functioning. I wasn't even breathing into this lung, right? Like, and that's the honest to God truth. I wasn't even breathing into this lung. My whole right side of my body was shutting down. I walked with a limp, right? I didn't notice. I didn't notice. My friends and family didn't notice. They just thought, oh, that's Chris. That's Chris, man. Dude's got a really droopy eye, and fucking his whole right side doesn't work, and he's in super amounts of pain, and he drinks excessive amounts of alcohol and takes Robaxacet. I didn't do too many Percocets, but I did do some, you know, like just to function, just to get out of bed, to go to work again in construction. Here I'm working construction, you know, not looking after myself, not eating, not drinking water, just drinking liquor, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, not sleeping. So I'm never repairing my body. I'm never repairing my mind. My whole right side is shutting down. But yet liquor was still the most important thing. Right? Alcohol was still the most important thing in my life at that time. Even with all that going on. I didn't even notice all that going on. Right? Because all I could think about was when I was going to get my next drink. How long, you know, how many more minutes until work's done so I can go buy a case of beer. Because I've already drank my 2 work beer to get the shakes out of me. And if I drink any more, my boss is going to fire me. Right? My bosses all knew that I drank. You know, this is the crazy stuff we go through when we're alcoholics and addicts, you know. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So that's food. That's sleep. that's the stuff that when you sober up, those are the things you love the most, right? I love the most now that I get to eat amazing food, right? I eat Indian food and Thai food and all kinds of food. We make amazing stuff. We make amazing pizza. Like me and the wife have mastered making our own pizza, right? So like, and it's fun. I have fun making pizza. Sounds weird, sounds crazy, but I do. I really do enjoy it. I like making food. I now take naps, 15, 20 minutes. I just had one just before I made this video, just to make sure that I was happy and joyful and ready to rock and roll. Tonight I'm going to an AA meeting in St. Rose de Lac in Manitoba here. And I haven't been there since 2019. And I'm looking forward to going. They sound like they've changed a lot of the way they do meetings. From what I hear, they have a smudge and a sharing circle along with their AA meeting. And it's a 2-hour long AA meeting. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. I've never experienced it. I've done a little bit of smudging in British Columbia when I went to meetings there. I've been in one sharing circle in British Columbia when I was doing meetings there, but I've never seen that here in Manitoba. So I'm really looking forward to going and checking that out. Our meeting we have in Grandview, Manitoba, that I helped start. We do AA in the morning or at 7 p.m. And then at 8 p.m. we switch it to NA. And the younger people in their 30s, 40s, 30s, 50s, 20s, when they show up, they usually stay for both. So they go to the AA and the NA. But all the old guys, 65, 60, 70, 80, when they show up, they just do the first hour and then they're out of there. They don't want to hear about the drugs. So we've kind of split it up that way. But it's basically a 2-hour AA meeting, right? Because NA and AA, the books are almost similar, right? You're doing the same thing. So it's really cool that we can do that, right? And that people want to come and do that. When I first started open those doors up here in Grandview a few months ago, I thought I was going to be sitting there by myself, right? But I'm not. I got people coming in and out. I got 3 pretty consistent people that really have only missed, I think, 1 meeting in the last 3-4 months. You know, that's pretty damn good for people that have just started. And it makes it really good for me to go there and to share with them and to have them share and to read the big book and go through it, you know, and do the 12 steps with them. We're going to start doing that here in the next probably month or so, because we're almost done the first 164 pages of the big book. And once we go through that and we all read it together, then they get to start their steps. And I'm going to do my steps with them once again. So this will be the 4th time of going through my steps. And it's awesome. You know, any of you out there that are new to all this, don't be scared of AA or NA. Go there and get some help. Working through the 12 steps of AA or NA will help change your life drastically. Drastically change your life. So don't be scared of it, especially when you hear about God, right? You know, your God can be any God you want. You know, Zeus can be your God for all I care. I don't care what your God is, as long as it's a power higher than yourself that you can rely on to help you through the hard times, man. That's all you need, is anything, any kind of God. Buddha. I don't know too many other gods, so I'm just gonna stop there. In our meeting, we call him the Creator, right? Most of the people that come to my meeting are Métis or off the Tutsin and the Wami. I can't pronounce that name. I'm going to practice it. Reserve here, that's right, 15 minutes away, and they use the word Creator. I love the word Creator. I use the word Creator now because that's what I think God is. He's the Creator of all, right? And when I need help, I ask Him for help. So again, with that, I don't like making these videos too long, so I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for coming out. See you again. Oh, leave a comment. I will get back to your comments. Thank you.